Alright guys, today we're going to talk about MATIC. Have at least this much MATIC and why you need this much MATIC, or basically Polygon, the required amount. So I did a video on Ethereum on the required amount over there, and you should definitely check that out because Ethereum is really important. Other than Bitcoin, everybody should have Ethereum in their portfolio. But what about MATIC? I came across this article that talked about the required amount for MATIC. I thought it was interesting, so I wanted to share with you what I thought about that. I'm going to tell you a story though. I'm currently learning to code an arbitrage bot. So basically what happens is with decentralized exchanges, the only way that the prices stays kind of similar between two exchanges is with these arbitrage bots. They're the ones that are balancing out what you see on Uniswap, what you see on Kyber. If it's $25 on Uniswap, it got to be $25 on Kyber. And arbitrage is how we do that. But on Ethereum, with the gas fees, because each transaction you do on Ethereum, you still have to pay gas fees. It's still pretty expensive. So I thought about it. I thought about doing it on Ethereum. There's much more competition on Ethereum than on Polygon. So at this point, I'm thinking I gotta port this to Polygon because the transaction fees are much lower, it's much faster, and there's not a lot of competition. All that is to say, I'm a really cheap Asian. If you go to Walmart and you're buying chicken broth, you can buy the chicken broth by Campbell's, which is like $3 or something, or you can buy the no-name brand for 75 cents. I'm gonna go for the 75 cents. That being said, if you are not cheap but cost efficient, then please be sure to smash the like button and smash the subscribe button. And now let's head into the video. So basically what happened was I was doing the usual of looking up for recent news for Polygon MATIC, and I came across this article from the end of July basically about Polygon MATIC that gave me a number. Now that caught my interest. Now like I said in the beginning, since I'm playing with smart contracts myself on the Ethereum blockchain, gas is really expensive. And because of that, the next reasonable thing that any developer who cares about efficiency would do is look for other alternatives with lower gas fees. And the two options that we have is basically MATIC and Binance Smart Chain. Now I'm leaning more towards Polygon MATIC more because it is decentralized. Binance Smart Chain, they say it's decentralized, but to me it's not really decentralized. The top dog who has control over that entire ecosystem is CZ, who is the founder of Binance. And I would prefer not to be counting on such a centralized figure to have such overreaching powers over what I create. Now the goal of Polygon MATIC was to make Ethereum better, and they did achieve that by going live in 2020, just when Ethereum fees were going nuts. And this article really talked about three main problems of developing on Ethereum, which I also found. One is low throughput. Basically, if you've been watching my videos, you know that the number of transactions that Ethereum can do is very low. It's about 30 per second. Two, it's not user friendly. And three, there's a lack of choice and options. And we're going to talk about each of them for the rest of this video. Alright, solving the mess. So right now, let's go through each of the three problems of Ethereum and take a look at how Polygon MATIC solves it. One is low throughput issue. So MATIC solves this with layer 2 scaling, because having layer 2, or we can abbreviate that to L2, enables you to do more transactions per second. But at the same time, you still get to keep the security and network effects of the Ethereum network, which is great. But you get far more transactions per second because not all of the transactions are recorded on Ethereum blockchain. For example, if I ask you this question, what is more efficient? A one-lane road where a car stops at the stop line and goes one at a time, or a multi-lane road where you have 5 lanes and 5 cars stop at the stop sign or the stoplight and then they go? Well, you're going to answer the multi-lane, right? Because the multi-lane processes more cars and increases the throughput. So TX Street is a really cool site for you to check out. Puts Ethereum and Bitcoin into side-by-side lanes to see how many transactions are processed. You can see that these buses are really the transactions that are represented, and these South Park characters represent transactions. You can see that the lineup for Bitcoin is long as hell. But for Ethereum, it goes by pretty fast. These cars are going to be going one by one really quickly, and you can see that it just goes. This has been sitting here for a while. So you can also see the amount of platforms that are on Ethereum. Just look at all these platforms. Whereas for Bitcoin, there's only really two. So cool site to check out. Go check it out yourself to see how much better Ethereum is. So this is going to be much faster once ETH2 comes out, because that's going to increase the transactions per second. On top of that, Polygon also has sidechains. So not only do they have lanes, but I think of sidechains kind of like other modes of transportation. For analogy, let's use airplanes, rail, and ships. That's what Polygon has to increase the transactions per second on Ethereum. Now, let's talk about user friendliness. When it comes to Ethereum, it is not exactly user friendly because it requires a wallet, it requires transferring your cryptos from wallet to wallet, and if you get the address wrong, then you might lose all your crypto. And we didn't even get the gas fees yet. For developers, it's also a serious pain in the behind because you have multiple nets. You have test nets and the main net. For test nets being Rinkeby, Kovan, and Ropsten. And each test net would require you to go through a process to actually get ETH in order to test your application. And documentation is also one of the things that Polygon mentioned that they are actively working on, whereas on Ethereum, the documentation is basically Stack Overflow. And on top of that, when we're talking about developers, Polygon is also apparently working on templates, which would be heavenly because it'll give you kind of like a one-click deployment option, which is not an option on Ethereum. If you want to make an app on Ethereum, you basically just open a blank text file and you start from that. And lastly, on Polygon, there is interoperability, which is just a fancy word of communicating between blockchains. Because right now, blockchains can't really talk to one another, which is why there is so much hype for Polkadot, because it plays on that interoperability. That's its main focus. All right, let's talk about the lack of choice and option. So here's the thing. For Ethereum, projects share the same network and the same throughput and all the problems on Ethereum. So what Polygon does is that it literally layers on top of Ethereum. And here's a nice architecture picture of what each layer does. The two that Polygon focuses on are the Polygon and execution layers. So what the Polygon layer does is it basically combines transactions that are not on Ethereum yet. And what it does, it produces a block that gets executed on the execution layer, which would then help execute the transactions on the blockchain. Now, I just want to mention before we move on to scaling that if you only have one income, that is your active income or your job, then that is risky. You are literally one letter away from having no income or none income. So what I did is I put together all the passive income streams that I currently have right here on this page. So you can go over there, check it out. Some of the income streams kind of have no risk and requires no money, whereas some does require a bit of money and has a certain degree of risk to it. So you can pick your poison, which you want to do, but having no other passive income stream is the biggest risk right now. So definitely, please, for you, for your family, check that page out. You also get a free book if you go over there. So you're going to get something for free anyway. So go do that, but right after this video. As with anything new, scaling is usually a bottleneck. It's usually a problem. And cryptos are very new, and scaling is a huge problem because the costs are so high, and that is a huge issue. With the NFT hype, ETH is going up for as much as $500 just for gas fees. So of course, people will be looking for cheaper options. It's the reason why we see other blockchains like Cardano and Solana rising up like crazy. And that's the reason why MATIC pumped this year. Not to mention, like I said before, the documentation for Ethereum is kind of a mess. Especially when they have upgrades that introduce breaking changes, you basically have to go back to recode and maintain your app that way. And another thing is that gaming on blockchain cannot happen on Ethereum right now, simply as that. Because when it comes to gaming, you require microtransactions, which basically Ethereum cannot do. So they have to rely on projects like Solana and Polygon, which is why you see all the partnerships that Polygon has with gaming projects. The article did something really nice to go through the history of the price of Polygon. It was launched in 2019 with a price of around 0.003 USD, and in a month's time, it 10x to 0.03 USD. And that was its all-time high back then. And then following 2 years, the price really just kept the same, around 0.02 to 0.03 USD until February 2021. It reached 10 cents as the second all-time high. After this level, its bull run kept and reached its final all-time high again as $2.45. After this price level, MATIC started to go down to 1.08 USD. And at the time of this article, they were saying that the price was around $1, which I think is a nice price to accumulate actually. So MATIC is sitting around $1.11 right on top of the 200 EMA. So I am still sitting on my hands with this one. I'm feeling like it could drop a lot lower, maybe to here, which maybe it's pretty much too much. If it drops back down to 60 cents, a lot of people will be accumulating. Now, this is expected because MATIC had just a vertical run up within a very short time span. So it has to come back down to really retrace to figure out what the levels are at. The same could be said about Solana. They had the same kind of price action. They went from like less than $1 to more than $100 within this year. So they're gonna be coming back down sooner or later. So the question really is, where am I gonna buy more? So that's all I got to say for today. If you are new to MATIC, if you maybe bought at the high and all you've seen is declines, then hopefully this video helped you. But other than that, if you haven't already done so, please smash the like button, smash the subscribe button, check out these other videos on cryptocurrencies and passive income, and I'll see you next time. Peace!